Violet Evergarden has been one of my favorite anime for a while now. The emotional devastation that I felt after watching episode 7 has been living rent-free in my head ever since. I have chased that high with animes like Your Lie in April, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, and Your Name. Some were on par with Violet and others came very close. Kana Akatsuki wrote Violet Evergarden, but she also wrote Agents of the Four Seasons, and this spring the anime was released. Let me start with the setting of the world. Winter, spring, summer and autumn are actual gods. They gave a portion of their power to the humans and the four agents were born. They are the ones who manifest the seasons and without them the previous season remains. Now, let us go back 10 years into the past. Hinagiko, the agent of spring, was visiting Rosei, the agent of winter. Both of them were about 10 years old and they developed strong feelings for each other. Every agent also has a guard. Sakura, the guard of spring, asked Itacho, the guard of winter, to train her in swordsmanship. The two also developed feelings towards each other, but to me it feels like more akin to sensei and favorite student. Throughout the 14 episodes, we learn what exactly happened on that fateful day. Kasai, a terrorist organization, more on them later, attacked the winter village and kidnapped Hinagiko. She sacrificed herself in order to keep Rosei, Itacho and Sakura safe. There was this really emotional moment where she asked Rosei, "Will you play with me again?" right before she was taken. Sakura, without fail, searched for Hinagiko for 8 long years. The spring village gave up in just a few weeks. Rosei and Itacho, who felt guilty over the abduction, helped her out as long as they could. For 5 years they invested money and manpower into the search, but to no avail. They were forced by the leaders of the winter village to abandon the search. Sakura felt betrayed, but she never stopped searching. At some point, probably when she was around 16 years old, she lived on the street and still looked for Hinagiko. Hinagiko didn't really die. Well, her body didn't die. As she was being held captive, she was forced to use her life stimulation ability to grow illegal drugs for the criminal organization. In all that hopelessness, her mind eventually snapped. The old Hinagiko died, and a broken and battered version of her remained back. This is the Hinagiko we see in the anime, the Hinagiko that talks slowly and in third person. Now is the time to talk about Kasai and their leader Misuzo. She is the main villain and a horrible, horrible human being. However, a well-written villain isn't just evil, they need a justification for their evil acts. And Misuzo has them. What sent her over the edge is when she married an abusive husband, got pregnant, and later on lost the child. When she set out to kill Rosei, she was awestruck with Hinagiko and her self-sacrifice. In her, she saw her long-lost child. Misuzo tried to brainwash Hinagiko into believing she was her real mother. She used terror and violence to achieve her goal. No wonder Hinagiko's mind finally snapped. Sakura might be my favorite character of them all because we get to see such a range of her emotions: angry, depressed, overprotective, jealous, serious. But what I wanted to talk about at this point is her almost toxic, codependent relationship with Hinagiko. In episode 6, we learn so much about how Sakura truly feels towards her spring. She wants her all to herself and doesn't want to share her, especially not with Rosei, who in her eyes abandoned Hinagiko. She is very well aware that this kind of relationship is broken, but to me that only scratches the surface of how dependent she is on Hinagiko.
憎い人間が主人からの好意を何の苦労もなく受け取るのが嫌で、私だけを見ていてほしい。普通にあなたを好きでいられたら。でもこのあり方でないと私は機能できない。少し壊れているけれど正常な感情なのだ。
Nadeshiko is currently the youngest agent, and in episode 7... Actually, before I continue, what is it with episode 7 in inflicting me with emotional damage? Violet Evergarden, Dan, and now Agents of the Four Seasons too? Anyway, Kasai, the terrorist organization, drops a literal bomb on Nadeshiko, and once again Misuzo kidnaps a little girl. Episode 13, the second to last episode, was my absolute favorite. This was the only time I jumped up from my seat from sheer excitement. segment. The rescue operation for little Nadeshiko was in full progress. The agent of summer, Ruri, and her guard, plus the guard of autumn, pursuing the terrorists. In all the confusion, Ruri was shot dead. Her twin sister and her guard, Ayame, became the next agent of summer. In her grief, she clutched to her now dead sister and sang the song she heard many times before. She cursed the god of summer, put a gun to her own head, and said,
私が死ねばよかった。ルリ、神様に一緒に文句を言おう。
Of course, she was saved at the last second. Little Nadeshiko wakes up, just being saved from imprisonment, and delivers the coldest, most beautiful line.
聖も死も私の領域よ。お任せください。
And resurrects Ruri. This is when I jumped from my seat. From the short glimpses into the minds of the agents, we can infer that being one is not something to rejoice. When we first met Ruri and Ayame, this is best displayed to us. The isolation from the world you feel, the responsibility you carry on your shoulders. Some revere you as a god among people, but some also want to use you for their nefarious purposes. Others straight up want to kill you because you are special and different. The anime starts with the line,
きっとこれから悲しいことがたくさん起きるわ。
and yes, they were right. They were so right. Agents of the Four Seasons is my top 3 anime of spring 2026, together with Akane Banashi and 100 Scenes of Awajima. It is very aesthetically pleasing. There are some scenes that just take your breath away. And as someone who chases the emotional devastation that Violet left in my soul, I can attest that Agents will leave you satisfied, especially episodes 6 and 13. Who is your favorite agent? And what do you think of Misuzo, the antagonist of Spring?